When one thinks of drop post, you often sort of conjure up images of the Rockshox Reverb, which is their hydraulically operated one, which is common on loads of bikes. But it's quite easy to forget that aftermarket, there's quite a few other options out there. So the two I've been playing with is the new Specialized Command Post IRCC and Thompson's Elite Covert Post as well. They're both cable operated as opposed to the Reverb's hydraulic, but I don't see this as a bad thing. It means they're both pretty user serviceable, you don't have to bleed them, and there's a lot less to go wrong with them in many senses. So this is the Command Post IRCC, which stands for Internally Routed Cruise Control. The previous generations of command posts had a 3-position setup. So you have this bottom descending position, you have the top climbing one, and then one down in the middle as well for sort of trail riding. The difference now is that around the midpoint you've got 10 little indentations which give about 5 mm of difference between the saddle height for each of them. The one thing which is always commented on with the command post is that the return speed is incredibly high. So if we go from the bottom back up to the top, if you value fertility, then yeah, perhaps it's not the one for you. Just here you've got a little Schrader valve which controls the air pressure inside a small air canister inside the post, and this is what regulates the return. It comes out of the box at 20 psi, which is the maximum, and you can adjust it down to 15. Because it's a low pressure and low volume air can, it's actually quite difficult to get a shock pump or a track pump to notice the pressure changes. So it's actually quite difficult to tune. But to be fair, if you just let a little bit of air out, you can play around with it a bit and it will slow the rate down a little bit. So one of the nicer things about the IRCC is that in the box you get 2 different lever options. So the vertically orientated lever which comes in the box is really nicely shaped. It's got a good thumb paddle on it and it's got a reasonable amount of length, which gives a good bit of leverage to pull the cable through the full length housing, which can be a bit stiff at times. The other option is what they call the SRL, or the single ring lever. It's shaped much more like the thumb paddle from a shifter, so it goes in the more horizontal plane. And again, plenty of leverage, and it's a really nice lever setup. And this is Thompson's Elite Covert Dropper Post. Again, internally routed stealth routing to keep your bike looking tidy. So the difference between the Thompson and the Specialized is that the Thompson is infinite adjust between its the top and the bottom settings. There's only 125 mm drop option on this, but you do get 2 different 30.9 and 31.6. So unlike the Specialized post, you can adjust how fast the Thompson returns to the top based on how you actuate the lever at the bar. So if we drop the post all the way to the bottom and then put it back up, that's its sort of natural speed to return. If we put it back down again and just gently tweak the lever, it comes up a lot slower. The other thing that the Thompson has is in the final 15 mm of return, it's actually a damped return, so you don't get such a loud clunk when it gets to the top. In a way that's great because it means you're less likely to damage things down below, but also you get a slightly less tactile or defined return to the top, which some may or may not like. The lever blade itself is a little bit shorter than the Specialized, so if you've got sticky cable it's going to be a bit tougher to actuate. But again, the shape of it's reasonably good. To adjust the angle of the saddle, you just loosen the bolt at the rear and then use the little thumb screw at the front. If I'm honest, adjusting saddle angle is a little bit easier on the Specialized, which has a curved sort of clamping area with just a single bolt, so I guess the Specialized is a bit easier in that respect. So reliability is always a big concern with people with dropper posts. We've had quite a few of these different posts over the past couple of years, this iteration and previous ones, both down here in Bristol, up in Yorkshire and over in Colorado as well, and it's fair to say that they've all been pretty much faultless. If you add in the Fox DOS dropper post, we reckon these are the 3 most reliable droppers on the market. To sum up then, we've got the Specialized Command Post IRCC. It's got predefined user heights, which if you don't mind or you're a fan of, then that's great. But the only thing we have a question over really is the fast return rate and the sort of trickiness in adjusting that with the air pressure down here. If you've got a bit more cash though, and you prefer a more infinite travel, then the Thompson is a great option. It's really well built, it's beautifully finished, and it's my favourite one if I could take the lever from the Specialized.